surrounding the people who are loyal to you and like you said, who will keep your ego in check and who got your best interest at that. Not surrounding the people who, you know, are around you for their 10% gym fee or around you for, you know, you're going to elevate their profile. You know, that should come hand in hand. You know, by my coaches investing in me from such a young age, you know, me being who I am now and Brett being who he is now and the boys coming up, we've got this our gym profile elevates as I elevate sort of thing. Whereas,
naturally, isn't it?
You know, they weren't thinking of the gym profile elevating when I was an amateur or when I was just doing grappling comps, and that's why my loyalty will always lie with my team.
Cheers for coming in again, Jack.
Yeah, no problem. Good to be back.
Yeah, appreciate
in the studio.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, it's looking more like a studio now than the garage.
It is, yeah.
A little bit, but
it's nice to be in a studio. Usually it's a Zoom call in here or a Skype call, something like that with a podcast. So this is like the only, well, I've obviously done it before, but this is the only podcast I've done with a studio, so it's a nice change.
Yeah, it's a bit different, isn't it? I prefer like being in person, like even with the screen up. It's just different, isn't it? I find I've done one Zoom one and I had to delete it because I just didn't feel comfortable with it.
It's more of a conversation, I suppose, and then when you're face to face, sometimes on the Zoom, like I find personally anyway, when I'm doing a Zoom Zoom podcast or a Skype or something like that, it tends to feel more like an interview, than a chat. Then you know, rather than two people just talking. Sometimes it can turn into a bit of a Q&A between like the audio gap and the internet connection, and
I know it gets awkward.
People dropping in and out. It sometimes is more of a Q&A than an actual podcast. Like, you know, you look at the top podcasts like Joe Rogan and stuff like that. It's always face to face. So it's a nice little change up.
I think so, mate. It's just more personal, isn't it? I think as well. Like, I'd love to in the future get like more people in and do like ones with 3 or 4 people, but.
Yeah, like a fight companion or something.
Something like that,
That'd be good, yeah.
We actually tried doing one like with live stream.
Yeah.
But the internet you need is like
it's
insane.
Murder,
yeah, we tried doing it. It was massive lag.
I do a little bit of a podcast, the Tidy Butt podcast, and then we said we was going to do something similar, like we was going to do it for Fury and Joshua, but obviously that's gone tits up now, isn't it? So we won't be doing it for that one for a couple of months yet, but. Yeah, it's nicer. It's just better in person. It's just better. Everything flows better in person than this, so you can be more real, I find. Whereas not that I put an act on for an interview, but you're more formal when you're doing a little bit of an online Q&A, whereas you just speak.
It's just chill.
You just speak. Yeah, it's much better.
Yeah, and you get like a reaction as well, like off myself or whatever. Like I find, I don't know, even watching like podcasts, I struggle to watch ones more so when they're online. Like you said, like Joe Rogan, you watch his and it's all happening. It's all like connects.
Well,
the
they
dots
go off on
it.
a tangent, like you said. They'll ask something, and then an hour later, they're still on sort of the same starting point, but they've gone off in 20 different directions. So I think that's what, especially with the Joe Rogan podcast, I think that's what sucks people in. You know, rather than just him asking the question, getting the answer, asking the question, getting the answer.
You don't want to go and get what you expect to get, like.
No,
in a way, you want to get something completely different.
The best ones I like on the Joe Rogan is like when he has the fight companions and like stuff like that, and it just goes in a complete. You know, it's like a fight. They've done the podcast because it's a fight, and they don't watch a single fight. They just get pissed up and start smoking weed and go off in a complete different direction with it. So they're the best ones.
You'd never know who won a fight, would you?
No,
unless there's a knockout, you wouldn't know what was going on.
If you want to know the fight result, there's no point watching them, is it? Because they just don't even talk about it half the time.
No, you just got the timer in the bottom corner. It doesn't mean anything. It
don't mean a thing. It don't mean a thing.
I think it's great. Like, I'd love to do something like that, and I'm gonna work on it. I got internet out in here now.
Yeah.
Trying to put that together, but so more than welcome to come down if we
we'd have to do something, get a couple of the boys in, and it'd be good. It's the problem is the fucking timing of it on the with the UFC. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning start. I did the commentary for BBC for the Masvidal and Usman fight on BBC Radio, and obviously it was like 3 a.m. was the start time on the main card, and every fight on the main card was a finish, and we still didn't get from there till like 5:30 in the morning. So I had about half hour sleep the night before, so it messed me up for days and trying to catch up on sleep. So that's the only problem with it. If they had one like on a UK time, or like that's why I was going to do the Fury and Joshua card. So I know Saudi Arabia was going to be in, but we was open for a UK venue. But even Saudi is not a massive time difference compared to America.
When Joshua Ruiz fought, it was quite.
Yeah, it was
a decent time.
I'm sure it's about. I'm sure they're only like 2 hours in front or 2 hours behind, something like that. So
don't mind staying up, like, but. It's like having a hangover, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
When you're waking up, when you're going to bed.
It lingers on you for days. It's like, you can go home, don't get me wrong, you could go home 5:30 then. Like, it took me 3 hours to get home, so it was, what, I'd say 8, 9 o'clock. Went to bed for like 2-3 hours. Still tired then when I woke up, but couldn't sleep in the night then because I'd had 2-3 hours sleep in the day, and it just lingers on you for days. And then I'm not the best of people to be around when I haven't had a good night's sleep either. So it's if they do a UK card or like a European card, we'll definitely do one.
Yeah, for sure, mate. So that BBC thing, like, was it like a radio you were doing then for them, or?
Yeah, it was BBC Radio, 5 Live Radio. It was at the BBC studios. It was me, John Gooden, who does obviously the UFC company, and Nick Pete, who works at BT Sport. Nick's covered like boxing mainly throughout it, but the last sort of 5-6 years he's done.
Yeah, I watched a lot of his stuff.
Like, and he's good. He puts out good content, and basically it was commentary, but basically John had to lead the show. Nick was there for like the media input. I was there for like the technique input. So all I had to do really was break down the technique. But the tough thing that I didn't really think about until you get is obviously the people who are listening to me and not watching the fight. They're listening to the fight. They're listening to us for sort of a guidance on the fight because they're either in the car or traveling. So they not watch. They haven't got a screen in front of them, so you can't really commentate on it how you would commentate if someone was watching the fight.
You can't describe what they're doing.
You've got sense. Literally the thing they said to me before. You've got to be overly detailed in everything you say because, you know, when there's a grappling exchange or a wrestling exchange, if you can see what's happening, you can half gauge what's going on. But when you're listening to it, you need like the commentary to be really in depth and, like, you know, he's putting his left arm here, right? He's going to do this with his right arm. He's keeping his body here. So it took me like a round or two to get used to it. But thankfully, all the fights were pretty exciting and took place on the feet anyway. So it wasn't didn't have to be too detailed. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I gotta be honest, it's something different for me. I've done I haven't done commentary. So I've done like you know, with Cage Warriors on the mic in between fights and stuff like that. But I've never sat down and commentated on a fight. But I was in good hands with John Gooden and Nick anyway. So they would have carried me through it, I think, even if I wasn't much good. But thankfully, they felt like I did all right. So you never know. I may be a career in half of me when I knock the fighting on the head.
Mate, you got to look at things like that, though, haven't you? Because it's not a long-lived career, is it? And
no, it's not.
You never know what could happen from now till the end of it. And
look, I say this to the kids in the gym, and not even the kids. You know, I'm talking from 16. I got 16-year-old boys in the gym now, Johan and Liam and Avi, telling me they want to be professional fighters, and then you've got the amateur boys who are like 19, 20, starting to make their climb. And I always say to them, you've got to have a bit of a backup plan, like especially the youngsters. I say you need to go to college, you know, get your GCSEs and just try and just tough out 2 years in college, get a trade or get a course behind you, because, you know, not only is it a short-lived career, but people do fall out of love with the sport. I've seen it, Christ, 5, 10, 15 times I spent over the years where we've had a kid in the gym, 16, 17, who's a machine. You know, you think he's going to be the next one, and then he hits 19, 20, you know, gets a misses or starts going out and partying with the boys, and all of a sudden then they stop training 5 nights a week, it drops down to 3, then the 3 drops to 1, then the 1 drops from 1 a week to 1 a month, and then you don't see them. So
becomes a hindrance, like, doesn't it?
Yeah, and look, you can't, it's a tough old game. People fall out of love with it, unless you want to do it. It's not like football or rugby training where you just turn up to be part of the team and enjoy the social side of it. It's one of those, you've got to be personally invested in it, I think. So I always try and tell the kids, get a little trade behind you. Not just that, you could get injured. You know, you could break your leg tomorrow or have a bad injury, and they say, you can't fight again. There's boys in the gym with me who've had brain scans and drop the so you can't take another punch to the head. So if their only option was to fight, and then you get it with that sort of news, where do you go from there?
Yeah, you end up in a hole then, don't you?
Well, exactly. It leads to worse and worse things. So I try and say to them, there's nothing wrong with having the ambition of being a pro fighter and fighting at the top level and doing it for a living, but make sure you got that backup plan as well. I mean, I was the same at days. I didn't want to go to uni. I didn't want to go to college, but thankfully my old man forced me into it. We had lockdowns in like my second year of uni, and I was like, I'm quitting. I can get in a job, and he was like, just come on, tough it out now. Do 1 more year, and you can train full time. That's how he baited me back into it. I think if he had said finish it and go and get a job, I probably would have knocked it on the head there and then. But they just, you know, for the youngsters, get something behind you just in case, because there may come a time in 3 years where you may be injured, or you may just not want to do it anymore, and then you'll think, I wish I went to college at 16 and started it then. But you know, hopefully it works out for them and they do get to the UFC and make millions and millions of pounds. But if it doesn't, at least they got something to fall back on.
Yeah, they definitely need that, and they need someone like you telling them that, because you're in a successful position with it. It's like it's working out for you, isn't it?
Well, that's exactly.
And for you to say that as well, because I'm sure a lot of people in your position would be like, "No, come on, this is the dream. Just do this, isn't it?" But you're getting level-headed.
It sort of worked for me, didn't it? You know, despite getting the qualifications and stuff like that. I mean, fortunately, say I didn't do all that, fortunately I'd still be in this position now, you would think anyway. But the fact that I did it and I'm where I am now, I can go back to these kids now and say, look, well, I had to do it, and you know, I've made it to the UFC. I'm, you know, looking at trying to become one of the best in the world, or if not the best in the world, but I still had to do that. You know, if I decide tomorrow I want to quit, I could hopefully go and find a decent job where I'm going to shovel cement for 8 hours a day.
There's a good lesson in that.
There
though.
is.
Like, you've got to do things you don't want to get where you want to be as well,
exactly.
isn't it? Like,
you know, there's 2-3 youngsters in the gym that I would love. As a, you know, actually I coach the kids, and as my old man, I'm, you know, being like a co-owner in the gym, always looking at the youngsters coming through and think, oh, they're going to be one of our top boys in years to come. And I'd love to say to them, look, yeah, come on now when you're 16, just come train full time. They both got supportive parents. I'd love to say, come and train full time and, you know, make a run at it. But it's not fair on me, on them, for me to be giving them that type of advice. You know, realistically, they've got to get a backup plan just in case. And it doesn't hurt, does it? I mean,
no.
Even if they, like you said, it's a short career anyway, so you may get to the UFC and have 3-4 fights and be back out from there. That's, you know, as good as the money is, it's not good enough to. You can't have 4 fights or 2 fights and retire and live the rest of your life as a millionaire. That's not
spend it all pretty quick, can you?
It soon goes, especially when the tax man comes knocking as well. It soon goes. So even if you do make it to the top, even for me now, like in hindsight, it's nice for me to think I've got something to fall back on should I ever need to, you know. Fortunately, or hopefully I won't have to. But
well, you got the gym and everything, though. You're setting yourself up well, aren't you?
That's it. Yeah, it's like you said, and it's a good lesson to learn. To, you know, you can't always have things your own way. You got to do things you don't want to do in order to allow you to do the things you want to do.
Definitely, mate. Yeah, sacrificing everything in there. Like you training MMA, I'm sure there's aspects of it which probably some sessions you don't want to turn up to, innit?
Oh, without a doubt. Like I say, people say to me, I'd love to have your job training full time, and I'm like, it's like any other job in a way. There's days when you wake up, like this morning, I come down here early, so I woke up, set my alarm and I go for a run. And this morning I woke up and I could have quite easily just put my head back on a pillow and had another hour in bed. Didn't want to go, but you know, that's the same type of thing that people who are in a normal job are feeling. There's days where they probably wake up and think, oh, I could do a ringing in sick today, or I could do a day off today, but they've got to tough it out. Get up and go because they got bills to pay. You know, if I'm not fit and in shape and training, then how do I pay the bills? So there's definitely, like, life is constantly about having to do things you don't want to do, unfortunately.
Pretty much, yeah.
But hopefully doing those things that you don't want to do will in essence lead you living a better life and lead you doing a lot more of the things you do want to do. That's how I look at it. So there's nothing wrong with sort of staying on the youngsters' case a little bit and making sure they're going to school and making sure they got their head screwed on.
It's all discipline. Like, you know, I read somewhere the other day, I've said this in quite a few, like, how you do anything is how you do everything. So, like, if you discipline in the small things, like, it's only going to, like, if they're like, I don't want to go to school, do anything like that, it's like, how do you translate them skills into your fighting career then?
Exactly.
You know?
That's exactly right. It's like you said, it's, if I, you know, there's many a days where you could go to uni then or go to college and you think, right, I ain't doing this, I don't need to do this. But then I think, like, if you want to translate that, that starts to creep in. If you start having that attitude, nah, I ain't doing it, then you start having the same attitude if I ain't going for a run this morning.
Grow habits.
I've trained Monday to Thursday, I'm having Friday night off from the gym, I ain't training down there. Or, you know, if you got a fight coming up, nah, fuck it, I'll have that chocolate bar, I'll be alright. Yeah. You know, and then the pounds start creeping on. So, like you said, get into them good habits as a youngster of doing the things you don't necessarily want to do, but just sucking it up and getting on with it. Because there's plenty of aspects in fighting like that, you know, especially when it comes to terms like the diet and cutting weight. And nobody want to sit in a sauna for 2 hours to make weight, but you got to do it. So if you were used to, when a bit of hardship comes along, saying, nah, I ain't doing that. I'm not doing that. I can't be bothered to do that. I don't want to do it. Don't need to do it. Then it'll come back to bite you in the long run. So like you said, getting those habits. How you do something is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So it's spot on. Getting those habits of, you know, getting up and going to school or getting up and going to college, then you'll want to find it half as hard then if you do want to become a full-time fighter like these kids do. when you got to get up and go for a run, you won't look to the excuse. You'll think, I got to do it.
I know why.
And that's my mindset now. Like, for years, like, as an amateur or when I was, like, 17, 18 boxing, I used to think, I'll go tomorrow. I ain't going for a run today. I'll go tomorrow. Whereas now, it's like my routine. I get up and I've got to train, especially, like, Monday to Saturday. Don't get me wrong, I have a Sunday off, and out of camp I may have a Saturday off as well. But Monday to Friday, I've got to get up and do something.
Yeah.
If I don't get up and do it, if I'm injured or, I think I need a little bit of a rest, I only end up punishing myself later in the day. I mean, like, I think it was last Thursday, I woke up and my body was in bits. I had like a tough S&C session the day before, and I was in bits, and I thought, right, I can't run this morning now. I thought I'm going to go to the gym and just do a light bit of bike and a light bit of weights. So I did that. Sat in the house then Thursday night. Wrestling was at like 6 o'clock, and I thought, you're going to have to go and do that. You're going to have to go down there early and do a run. I thought, you bottled out of the run this morning. And then, because that's my routine, it played out on my mind all day. So it come back to bite me later on a day. So 99% of the time, I'm just like, just get up, get it done, and it's done then. Whereas if you get used to saying and doing it don't matter, I'll do it another day. And then, the Tuesday becomes the Wednesday becomes the Thursday. Thursday becomes the Friday, and then before you know it, you're back on Monday. It's like, I didn't do that run after. It's you got to get in them good habits mentally, physically. There's a lot to be learnt from doing things that you don't want to do.
Definitely, mate. Like, I fall in and out of good habits, bad habits all the time. Like, I find being consistent is one of the hardest things to do. Do you know what I mean? Even like, going when you don't want to. Like, but when I get up in the morning, sometimes I get up like 6 in the morning, say, right, I'm going for a run. And sometimes I've gone downstairs and I've gone back upstairs and gone back to bed. Like, and I'm like, I wake up then like 2 hours later and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You like you say all day, then you're beating yourself up like, oh, you're a fucking piece of shit.
And I mean, I used to be the same, but I've sort of got in that mindset now of, my alarm goes off, like, as easy as it would be to turn it off and go back to sleep, I sort of try and tell myself, you're awake now. So you've already interrupted your sleep. Yeah. So what's the point in being awake to get up, think about running, and then, I'll go back to bed, turn the alarm off and go back to bed. But you up. So I'm up, so I just as well do some up because I'm up. That's sort of the mindset I've trained myself into now, is like, if I'm awake, I just as well go. Like, I'm the same, I'm up 6:30 every morning, and it's like, in my head, I like to think, if I just get it done now, so if I don't faff about for an hour, I'm in an hour, and if I get it done now, by 8:30, I'm done till this afternoon.
Everything else is a breeze through the day.
Yeah, it's an easy day. Then
you got no fucking issues. Like,
then you are living the dream for the day, especially for me. Like, because I train morning, and so I do like three or four sessions a day. But 9 times out of 10, that works out like 2 back-to-back sessions in the morning and 2 back-to-back in the night, or like 1 in the morning, 2 back-to-back in the night. So 99% or 95% of the time when I'm in fight camp or out of fight camp, like you said, my 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. is a breeze. I can just do what I want between those hours. So it's all about mental hardship. Like, you look at people like David Goggins and who's the other guy on Joe Rogan, the military guy, can't think of his name.
Cam Haynes, is it?
Cam Haynes, there's another one as well. He's up at 4 a.m. all the time.
Jocko,
It's and they're the same. It's like, they've just like, they wasn't born like that. They wasn't born with that mentality.
No one wants to get up like that.
No, like,
really.
look at, if you listen to David Goggins' book or read his, I listened to it because I'm too lazy to sit there and read it.
Here,
I put it on when I was running. But if you read it or listen to it on the audio book, he was fat and out of shape, no motivation. I think the first time he tried to go for a run, he said he did 600 meters, something like that, and then started crying because he physically couldn't do it. And it's like, none of these people are born with that mentality. You got to train with yourself. Like, people say to me sometimes, I wish I had your motivation, going running every morning. It's like, yeah, but there was a time at like 17 when my old man would have to force me 3 times a week to go for a run because I had fights coming up and boxing matches coming up, and I was like, I just don't want to go.
Yeah.
Whereas now I can get up and run comfortably every morning. It's getting into that mindset. It is, a lot of it starts in the mind. I really don't believe there's not one person in this world that have gone for a run the first time and enjoyed it.
No.
It's the same as sparring. There's no one enjoys being punched in the face, but there's things you learn to enjoy about it. It's the same with anything. You get into a good routine, you learn to be happy in a good routine, and then you learn the benefits of having that routine compared to not having no routine at all. Like, I'm bad for it. I'm a creature of habit. If my routine gets messed up, then like you play like last week, it plays out with me all day. Then like I can't snap out of it until I go and do what I should have done in the morning. So
I'm exactly the same, mate. it's like crucial to me. If I don't train for like 2 days, I find myself, I'm like, fucking hell, I'm depressed. Like, I literally go straight to like, what the fuck am I doing with myself?
Yeah.
And then like one session bring me back. But
it's the best. Well, not the best, but it's one of the best sort of remedies, especially for mental health, like you said, stress, depression, anxiety. If I'm ever stressed, the best way for me to get rid of being stressed is go for a run or go training, go and hit some pads, go and hit the bag, do something, take your mind off it. And Forrest Griffin said it years ago. I'm sure it was Forrest Griffin. Oh, he may have been on about fighting or training. I think it was a fight. And he said the reason he loves it so much is because it doesn't matter what's going on outside of it at the time in your life, whether you've got bills to pay or family stresses or anything else that's winding you up. For the hour you're in the gym or the 15 minutes you're in the fight, the only thing that matters is our training session. And then it doesn't matter how much got going on. For the hour I'm in the gym, the only thing I'm thinking about or concentrating on is training and the technique and trying not to get battered in sparring. And same when I'm running. The only thing I'm focused on when I'm running, it clears my mind. My mind sort of goes blank when I'm running. I put a podcast on, focus on the podcast and just run. And the only thing you're sort of but focused on is getting through the run, getting back to the house or seeing that hour mark off on the treadmill. And it's the best sort of release, I think, for me personally. And I know a lot of people believe in it. If you can just get out and do a bit, it'll take your mind off all the worries of the world for sure.
I think like between that, like exercise, eating well, and like meditation, I find like, I know you said like you think it's the best, but it's like no one wants to commit to saying it's the best because you don't want to like put people who are actually struggling down in it. Yeah. So, but I genuinely believe it is.
Yeah, if it's not the best, it's definitely a very good aid, isn't it? You know
definitely.
what I
mean?
Like
if you're not doing that, I feel like you're not giving yourself a full chance anyway.
Yeah, well, I speak to obviously I got a lot to do with Matthew at Tidy, and he's always giving people advice. And I know the first thing he says to people when they sort of ask, they message him for a bit of help and say, I'm feeling anxious or stressed or depressed. I think like the first questions he sort of asks me is like, right, so how much you exercising? What's your diet like? How often are you drinking alcohol? And 9 times out of 10, you start to sort of sort those factors out. So you start to do a little bit of exercise, you start to clean your diet up, they naturally feel a little bit better. You feel accomplished, don't you? Like
proud, like
you eat shit on a diet, or you eat shit on diet for 2 weeks. You do a good day of dieting on the 3rd week. You feel accomplished. Right, I'm back on track now. I feel better for that. And it just gives them something to be proud of. I mean, when I say go and exercise, you don't have to be going for a 10-mile run. Go for a walk the dog around the block. And
it's relative to you, isn't
it? Yeah, everyone's different. Walk the dog around the block, or then in 2 weeks, try taking him for a little bit of a longer walk. Then who knows, in a month, you may think, right, I'm going to try and do a little run now. And then perhaps a mile run can turn into a 3-mile run. And then you might think, right, I'll go to a gym now and do a little bit of this. It's relative. It's what's relative to you, but there's definitely something. If you look at the statistics, I can't quote no statistics. I don't know, but I can imagine if you did a study on how exercise and nutrition affects stress, anxiety, depression, it would be a lot higher than sort of prescription drugs, in my opinion. Anyway, and it's a much more healthier, more natural release. I'm not saying there's obviously a place for antidepressants and stuff like that. Some people need them, of course they do. But if those same people could sort of maybe half their doses and factor in a bit of exercise and a bit of good nutrition and surrounding themselves with more positive people, then I think they'd see a much bigger benefit there as well.
Yeah, I think we're in a world currently that's never existed before.
Of course we are.
Like technology, ship food at the drop of a hat. Like we're not built for this. We've never had this before. It doesn't connect us to who we are, who we've always been. And I always I like to look at these people who talk about going back to nature and stuff. It sounds gay. A couple of years ago, sounds gay. I'll probably get fucking cancelled saying that. But years ago, I would have completely shit on the idea of meditation, running, anything like that. I was just interested in getting pissed, eating shit, and doing whatever I wanted. But you start to realize that stuff doesn't make you happy. We're in this crazy world, which no one knows how to navigate their way through. And I think we've got to take a couple of steps back and what connects us to actual living, innit? And
well, like you said, it's quite look at the bit. It's quite a toxic world, like you said. Especially around here. Then even in Abbott area where I live, to go and find a bit of a takeaway, and go and find a takeaway or grab something or a chip shop, you'll find at the drop of the hat. Now go and find somewhere in Abbott area where you can have a salad. you probably got Weatherspoons, and it's probably not going to be the best salad you've ever seen in your. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, mate.
There's like you said, the stuff like the going into nature or meditation. People would never afford to use it years ago, but years ago we wasn't dealing with the level of social media and sort of. I shared something on Facebook the other day. It was like social media has got people thinking that, got youngsters thinking that they're useless because they're not earning six figures and haven't got a Rolex and they're not driving a BMW. But it's like, what's wrong with working a 9 to 5 and being happy doing that?
Yeah.
Like I think sometimes people seek happiness as having money and having these possessions and
followers
and followers and likes, but the problem with that is it's never ending, because you start pulling in 1,000 likes and you want to pull in 2,000 likes, and then you won't be happy until you got 10,000 or followers. Even you got 1,000 followers, then you won't be happy until you've got 10,000, then it's 1 million. It's never ending.
You start comparing yourself to other people who've got more all the time.
If you can find happiness in yourself and find a job that makes you happy, or find a little hobby that makes you happy, and set yourself little goals that you can feel accomplished by, then I just think we'd be a lot better off. I mean, I'm not saying social media is all bad, because I make a lot of my sort of following, and then I make a lot of my sponsors and meet them on social media. So it's not completely bad, but I think it needs to be used in moderation, in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with deleting the apps or putting the phone. We were just saying before we start, there's nothing wrong with getting off there for a couple of days at a time, just to give your brain a little reset. And I'm bad for it. I spend a lot of time on my phone, a lot more time than I probably should. I'm quite fortunate that I don't look into the negativity too much, but there are kids out there, like you see kids killing themselves these days over social media, and they're saying like people say, how do we deal with it? It's like, well, we really don't know, because we haven't had to deal with it.
Just get off it.
Social media. Social media wasn't around 20, 30 years ago when our parents were growing up. So how are they meant to, how do they help their kids who are struggling and can't get off social media? And
we're like a half generation.
We're stuck in the middle. 26.
Yeah, I'm 27, so we're
stuck in the middle. We are the social media generation. So the next generation is going to be even worse again for it, because they are, there's kids now. There's 3-year-old kids with iPads and iPhones, and
they know how to use them better than me.
Yeah, that's just what I'm saying. Like, I never used I think I've always had games consoles and stuff, but I never used an iPhone or an iPad till I was 15, 16. Whereas now there's kids they're like this from 2-3 years of age, and I get I'm not slating the parents or slating the kids, because that's just how life is now. But we gotta learn. I think, or put in a plan how we're gonna sort of deal with it and make sure that it's not having such a negative effect on people.
I think so. I can remember when the interactive whiteboard come into school. That was a fucking mental day.
Next level technology.
I can touch that thing and it does stuff.
Playing Minecraft. I remember we used to play Minecraft and mini pool on it, and it's like. There's kids now. There's some schools about where every kid's got an iPad. We've got the iPads for a session.
My missus is a teacher. Their schools they've all got one.
You've got a fucking iPad for a session. We've never had that.
I suppose though, if you're looking into the future, to a degree, if you don't put them on it, what job are they going to get? Well,
that's it.
Because it's catch-22. Because all jobs are going to go. You're probably going to, even a relatively mundane job. It's like, you tick that off on your iPad, say you've done it.
Yeah.
Because in work with us, it's like, you haven't actually done your job until you've completed it on the iPad. It doesn't, whereas years ago, it'd be like you just go out and do it.
I think, like you said, especially if they're not, the problem is if they're not technology trained, I think in 20 years, there probably won't be a job for them, because I don't think there will be many manual labour jobs. Just look in the supermarket, with the self-scan, how long before every till in the supermarket is like that?
Yeah.
How long before... It's the same with you can go to a drive-through, like a McDonald's drive-through now. The one window you can speak into, or even you go into the shop, you can select what you want on the big electron. So how long before they start having a system behind the counters and out stocking the shelves where they don't need humans to do it?
It's all coming in, isn't it?
So unless you're technology trained, I think in 20 years, 30 years, there may not be many jobs out there for you. So like you said, it is a catch-22. You can't take your kids off it, because then they're not gonna. It's not going to set them up. Where do they go in the future? But at the same time, it can be toxic. Yeah. So, like you said, our generation especially is stuck in the middle big time.
Yeah. But they're bringing in, I don't know what your thoughts are on it all, but UBI and stuff, have you heard that?
No.
Universal Basic Income?
So, yeah, I have. I tell you what, I only heard about it from Matthew yesterday, because he cut my hair. And he told me about it. So, there's something along the lines in it of, if the job's unavailable, everyone will have X amount of money.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like an enhanced dole, like in effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're trialing it now in Wales at the minute.
Are they? How do we sign up, man?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. We're in the wrong position, I think. But yeah, I think they are trialing it. And, 10 years ago, like, it was a conspiracy theory. But it's
Look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means. And, there's things I see on the conspiracy, in the conspiracy world that I believe. And there's things that I think is bullshit.
Same.
But a lot of the things they was talking about, like sort of, Alex Jones off Joe Rogan. Well, I sound like a right Joe Rogan fanboy today, don't I? But Alex Jones, people like that.
Be on there one day, mate.
There was things they were saying like 10 years ago that are now starting to like creep in, and you start to think, well, they wasn't a million miles off then. So like,
I know
the stuff that's being said. How do we know that in 10 years that's not going to be a million miles off? So I don't know. It's a weird old world at the minute, isn't it?
Do you watch David Icke? Have you ever heard of David Icke?
I don't. I've watched him in the past. My dad have watched a lot more of him than I have. I used to watch him when I was like 16, 17, and then he started talking about people being lizards and stuff. And the royal family, they're all lizards behind clothes, like they turn into lizards and stuff like that.
He lost a lot of people at that point.
Yeah, I think that was when I was like, right, that's enough for me. But there was a lot of stuff, in all fairness. I know we take the piss, but there's a lot of stuff he said that that sort of
this year more than ever. Like last March, he did an interview with Brian Rose. Have you seen that? Like London Real.
I haven't seen it.
Podcast where he did an interview with him, and like at the time, I was like, I can't listen to this. It's full of shit. Yeah. Like it was pissing me off. I was like, nah. Do you know what I mean? People are dying, and they are. Don't get me wrong. All respect to anyone who's suffered like during this, but I went back and watched it the other day, and I was like, fucking hell.
A lot of what he said,
how much of what he said's come true? Like he doesn't predict it down to the T, like, but who would have?
I'm sure he said it may have been him or maybe in a different one. They sort of predicted like they didn't predict it being called Corona or whatever, but they predicted like maybe 10 years ago or 6-7 years ago that there would be some sort of virus introduced that shut the world down. And
Bill Gates, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Fucking mad, like.
I don't know. There's a lot of hate for Bill Gates.
There's thing is, it's a job, isn't it? We'll never know.
We'll never know. Of course we won't. If
speculation.
It'll always be. Unfortunately, we'll never really know. There'll always be speculation. I mean, they'll always shut it down, whether it's true or false or whatever. So we'll never really know. That's why I don't get too emotionally invested. There's as much as I enjoy a conspiracy, as much as anyone, a lot of people like it's their life. You know what I mean? There's people who just all that they want to sort of involve themselves in is conspiracy, which is that's fine if that's what they enjoy. But for some people, I think it can take over life a little bit too much. I try and say don't take life too seriously. As much as it's good to be passionate about these things, sometimes take a little break from it as well.
That's it, mate. And that's why
same with anything.
Literally saying to you earlier, I've been doing this and a lot of the time I get people in serious talks and stuff, and it's quite emotionally draining. Like sometimes,
I can.
So I was like, fuck. Like I said to you earlier, I'm filming a load. I'm having a month or two off, and because I just want to come back a better person to do it. Because I don't feel like I'm fully effective in myself. Like at the minute,
yeah. Sometimes we need that reset, don't we? And I got an habit of doing it. I always relate everything like back to a training camp, just because that's
your life.
That's my life. But it's sort of similar to a training camp. You do a 12-week training camp. You love it for the first 4 weeks, and like the fight's getting closer. Like by the end of the 12 weeks, especially after a fight week, you're quite emotionally and not just physically, you're mentally and emotionally drained. It's between like getting yourself up for the fight, the weight cut, the pressure of the fans and the media and everything. It's quite emotionally draining. So that's why it's nice to take a week or two off after the fight to reset not just your body but your mind as well. Yeah. Like you said, you've been flat out. You're having these serious talks with people. It's not always a light-hearted conversation. Sometimes you need like that week or two or even 3 or 4 to just, right, I'm going to have this off now, reset, and I'll come back to it. It's the same with like a fight camp. You have 2-3 weeks off, ease yourself back in, then you're going to have a fight, but right, I'm back in but you're ready. By the time you go back into fight camp, you're ready to go back into fight camp. Yeah. Whereas if it was like 12 weeks of training, Sunday off, back into 12 weeks of training, your career would be even, for me anyway, it'd be even shorter than what it already is. Same with you, if you was doing this every single day, serious conversations all the time, then it would get you down. Look, like,
it impacts your life, doesn't it?
Look at even like Joe Rogan, who does it as a job, and not every podcast is with a politician or with a scientist or
exactly,
with a nutritionist. There's always comedians and people he knows coming in. So probably for his benefit to keep it like that, to keep it fun. Same with you. I can imagine, like, you know, you just need to get away from the seriousness sometimes. So
yeah, like you can't have, like I couldn't have, and it's no offense, like I couldn't have 10 fighters in a row in.
No,
like because I'd be
not.
like, it's the same stuff I'm going over. And to a degree, everyone does things different, and I think it's the differences that obviously make the difference. But
in hindsight, we're all doing the same thing, though. You know, it's all fight talks, all training for a fight.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's same as you couldn't have 15 politicians in a row in, or you couldn't have 15 nutritionists in a row. So
you can have like too much good as well. Like I take a lot from these chats, like with people, and try and implement it into my life. But if I've got like 20 different programs off people thinking like, I'm going to try a bit.
Yeah.
You just
overwhelms you, doesn't it? Yeah. So like you said, take the reset, press the reset button, or put your, it's like putting your phone into charge, put yourself on charge mode for 4 weeks, and then you'll come back feeling better and ready to do it again.
I see you're doing a YouTube channel as well, mate.
Yeah, dabbling in and out of it. To be honest, it's going good. People seem to like being enjoying the content. The thing with me is I don't just want to be putting training videos up constantly, like, because people always see me training, and there's plenty of videos of me hitting pads and rolling about, and so I try and keep it like varied. But then on the flip side, it is tough because a lot of people do just want to see what I'm doing in the gym and, you know, what I'm doing fight week and stuff like that. But it's going good. We try and it's me and my sister. My sister runs it pretty much. You know, she runs the channel. She does all the filming yet, and I just literally carry the camera around a little bit and maybe, you know, she comes up with the ideas. She's like, when you do this, when you do that. So I haven't done one for about 2 weeks now. So we got a couple of little things which we're thinking about doing, and you know, it's good now because the gym's back open, so I can get a lot more stuff of the boys training, a lot more stuff of me training. You know, tours of the gym, I can speak to the coaches. Whereas when we was obviously in lockdown, it was private training, and you know what people are like, they get the wrong idea. I think you're training behind closed doors, so we tried to limit it a little bit.
I don't blame you. It's just not worth the headache.
People like to tell, people just, there's too many do-gooders about, you know, like the amount of people said. I know people who have said to my friends, "Oh, he's training down that gym," and it's like, well, yeah, he's a pro athlete. He's allowed to train down the gym during lockdown. Nah, COVID, everything's locked down. So now we got a little bit more sort of free reign. We'll try and bang a little bit more content out. Hopefully, I'll have a fight soon, or some fight news at least, so we can do stuff on that. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I gotta be honest. Like I never been into the YouTube channel and stuff like that. I'm not doing it, you know, to make money. You've got to have millions of subscribers.
So mental, isn't it?
I'm not doing it for that. I could make more money off Instagram shout outs and stuff like that. I'm just doing it to keep the fans interested, really, and hopefully keep people entertained. And it's just another way for them to sort of connect to me outside of fighting. You know, there's a lot more to my life than just fighting, as much as a big part as it is. So if I can give them a little insight, then I'll do my best to do it. But in all fairness, it's my sister's little project, to be fair. Yeah. She does a lot more. She has a lot more to do with it than I do, and I'm just a guy with a camera. I'm just a guy doing a bit of training. She does all the hard work, in all fairness to her. So if I do make any money off it, she'll probably have to have it anyway, because she's doing it free of charge at the minute.
Yeah, she's hoping for a return in the future.
I mean, yeah. I know we're long game, don't worry.
you got to look at like Conor McGregor, say for instance now, like any footage of him from like whenever back in the day. Like that's what you're creating, really, isn't it? Like something that could in the future maybe. Yeah,
well, that's it. It gives. That's exactly it. Like you said, there's videos of where you look at his documentary and all that stuff. He's took offline where, you know, he was filming himself in the Cage Warriors days sparring, and in his UFC debut, and no one really knew who he was. I don't know, he was known through the Cage Warriors scene, but he wasn't who he is today. Now you could probably sell those videos for millions of pounds. I'm not saying I'm going to be Conor McGregor level of fame and have that type of pull, but if it gives people a look back on, you know, in a couple of years, I think, fair play to him, he was doing that before we even knew who he was. Then you know,
make a few NFTs or something.
That's like, it. Yeah. All of that's the new thing at the minute. Isn't it?
I don't even have. I don't get it.
No, I don't
personally.
Like, I had to have someone explain to me where I was the other day. Someone messaged me, "You should do an NFT," and I was like, "What's an NFT?" I can see everyone talking about it, but they sort of. I think it's basically like a one-off. It's like there's a limited edition, like a picture or a card or something like that. So never know, that could be next, perhaps. Yeah. For the YouTube channel now, we'll get into the NFT.
You'll be on the NFTs, mate. Yeah, it's like crypto. Like years ago, I didn't have a clue what it was. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them things. I think probably find out too late. Like,
yeah, well, that's it. I dabble in it a little bit, but You know, I'm not like a Bitcoin master or anything like that. I just take a chance. I don't put a lot of money. It's just a little bit like gambling, really. You know, it's one of them. I think it's so volatile, all this crypto stuff. It'd be great if you pocket your money off it, but you can lose it as easy as you can pocket it. And my mate does a lot of it, and I've started doing bits with him, and like he hit the nail on the head. He's like, only put in what you're willing to lose, because there's no guarantee you're gonna have it back. So it's the same with gambling. You know what I mean? Only bet what you're willing to lose.
Is that Robbie?
No, so my mate Colin have been into it for years. And obviously I speak to Robbie now. I'm in one of Robbie's groups. So I get all the hot tips off Robbie, but Colin, my friend, have dabbled in it a little bit. Like 5-6 years ago even.
Yeah.
So I knew he was into it when I spoke to him about it back in December when I first had a little look. He's like, just put in what you're willing to lose. Like, if you're not willing to lose £100, then don't put £100 in. He said, because you can lose it as good as it is for making money. You can quite easily lose it as well. But Robbie, you haven't Robbie on it now, but Robbie's good.
Do
like
something with him. Yeah.
Me and Robbie, I've known Robbie. What was I? Probably met Robbie when I was about 14. Started training at the gym, and you ask him about. We used to go up. I was 16, about 70 kilo probably, little fat kid, and Robbie was like a full-grown broke, but he was about 60 kilo because he was a skinny guy at the time. And we'd go up on a Saturday and spar, and we used to have some good sessions, me and Robbie. Obviously, he's living out in Thailand now full time with his wife. But yeah, Robbie was a good fighter as well. If he had put his head to it, he could have done well and gone far. But I think he got into the stock market and stuff like that, started making good money, and just. Well, perhaps he thought he could make more money doing that than fighting. Like you said, it's a big risk to try and make a career in fighting. And he's obviously done really well for himself, living in Thailand now, does it full time between the stocks and the crypto, and seems to be living a pretty good life out there, in all fairness.
I like his honesty on all his stories. Do you know what I mean? He's not trying to sell you the dream.
No.
Like, he's telling you, like, you could fucking lose everything.
Yeah, like, that's what I like about him is... I mean, I don't get how the charts and stuff like that work. I just take his word as bond. But... from what I can make of it, is like you post if he wins, you post if he loses as well. Whereas you've got a lot of these guys online, they like try and give this persona of they're constantly making thousands of pounds a week and constantly winning. Whereas he's honest, he's like, this is not how it goes. Like, some weeks you make money, some weeks you break even, some weeks you lose money. So that's the beauty of it. I think that comes from that valley mentality as well. He grew up in the valleys, Robbie, and I think we're just honest people. I think, and he ain't gonna go on there and bullshit. He's gonna go on there and tell. And it cracks me up when he starts rinsing all the others as well. It's like literally tags him in as if to say this guy's full of shit. Like oh, you don't change. Like he's off again. Typical Valley boy, not afraid of a bit of confrontation.
I want to know how much like a photo shoot with a Lamborghini costs, because I reckon that's what a lot of them are doing, isn't it?
Literally, it's mental. Like, they must make, I don't know, they must make £1,000 or whatever and go and spend 500 on it on a Lamborghini for the day so they can just take a photo in front of it. It's like, well, you really believe they own that Lamborghini? Like 5,000 followers. Like
it's like embarrassing. Sometimes, isn't it?
It's baffling. Like I was listening to I listened to the Fighter and the Kid podcast, and they live out in LA, and they're on about like Instagram girls who like want to like give off this persona that they're rich and famous. They're not. Like, obviously no one knows who they are, and they said like they taking pictures. It's like on a private plane. But turns out, I didn't know, but turns out the private plane is a studio. So you can play for this private plane studio for the day. It's like in you. It's like being sat in you, but it looks like a private plane, and they're like all taking photos and stuff with it.
I got this set up wrong. Like,
yeah, I know you should just pimp it out, like spend a bit of money.
Put a little like bar in here.
Make it look like a mansion or something. But it's bonk. Again, it goes back to like social media. Everything people do these days seems to be for social media. Even like when you, like you said, even go down to crypto traders and stock traders and people who want to be models and rappers. Even it's like you look at you look at rappers on Instagram. Not the big rappers. I'm talking about people with like 10,000 followers. They all got like these Rolexes on. It's like, right, so you normally knows who you are. Then you're doing a little bit of music or you're doing a little bit of modeling. Yet you've got like a £50,000 watch on your wrist. When you've been better off investing that £50,000 into yourself,
priorities,
like into an house or investing that money into expanding your business, expanding your networking. But unfortunately, everything's for the gram these days, isn't it? You know. So,
yeah, I took a photo like of myself, like editing on my laptop the other day, and I said like, took this photo to look cool. Like, just like taking a piss at myself because I know it's just bullshit. Like,
yeah, literally, it's like, I mean, I would never, I can't ever imagine me wanting to spend big money on something just to put a picture on this. Like, I love watches. Always been into watches. I've got a Rolex, and I'm always eyeing up certain watches. And never know, I might treat myself after the next, right? But I can't ever imagine me buying it just to put a picture on Instagram. Like, yeah, I've got a Rolex, or they take the piss. Then there was a picture the other day. It was like guys who own a Rolex. There was a picture like of fish and chips, and the Rolex was on the plate. It was like dinner tonight. And it's like,
that's fucking class.
People do everything for online these days. Even down to MMA boys. Just like, I see some people maybe hitting pads or doing jiu-jitsu techniques, and I'm watching the technique, and I'm like, that would never ever work. You've took that strictly for Instagram, strictly so you can post it up and look cool doing it. And
yes, whether
it's fighting, crypto, modeling, singing, rapping, anything like that, it's like, if you're gonna do it strictly for Instagram, you're probably just as well knocking on the head now, because you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
I know. I've caught myself in the trap, I'll be honest, like, and I hate to say it because it fucking feels disgusting. Like, it's like, oh, I'm going to post this. And then it's like, fuck, it hasn't got many likes. Like, and I'm like, what am I thinking? Like,
yeah, like, I know, I've seen it, like, I've seen people post a picture on Instagram, right? Doesn't get as much likes as they would have thought. They'll take the photo down and then re-upload it like eight hours later in the night, open
at the right time. See
it.
Like, or whatever.
That's what I mean. It's like, it's your page. If you want to just put it up when you want to put it up. And if one person likes it or 100 people likes it, what difference do it make to your life? Like, I've never looked at a person's Instagram and judged their coolness on how many likes they've had or how done.
Me neither.
I've never looked at someone and thought, fair play to him. He's a wicked guy because he's got 100 likes. No, man, if he had 1 like, I don't think I would look at him and think, he can't be that.
It could be the same photo. You just haven't got the same followers or whatever. Like, innit?
But what difference does it make? Anyway, Instagram should do away with the likes. They should do away. Only person that should be able to see how many likes that is yourself. That way you'd stop a lot of the bullshit, in my opinion.
Judgment.
Yeah, like, because people, if you take away, if I can't see how many people have liked your photo and you can't see how many people like my photo, people stop uploading the shit then, don't they? They just upload what they want to upload. Yeah.
I think like you said, only you should be able to see it, and then you may be able to like have your insights passed to like someone if it was business wise.
Of course, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Of course. But again, I get that because it's a good little tool, Instagram, for making money, especially with sponsors and stuff. But as far as like private accounts and stuff like that goes, what I don't know. Maybe I'm old fashioned, like, but why do you care about how many people are liking or commenting on your photo? Remember the old like for like thing? Hashtag like for like. Follow, you like mine and I like yours. Yeah. It's like all you see shit like all likes returned. Like, so if they like your photo, you're gonna go on their page now. I better chuck him a like.
I don't even like it, but
yeah, it's fucking wild. Isn't it?
I've had Instagram for probably like I don't know how many years, but on my own personal one, until recently, I don't even upload on my own personal one now, really.
Yeah.
But I didn't really use it until this. Like,
no,
I was on Facebook, and that was it, really.
I used to upload, I mean, when I first turned pro, I was uploading like 4 or 5 pictures a week. Whereas now, I got to remind myself, like, don't get me wrong, go on the story because I have a lot of my supporters and fans like to interact on my story, have a bit of banter, or like to put my running times up to try and just motivate some people. Like, I know a lot of people, the amount of mess I have when I, like, say I'm running 6 o'clock in the morning and I put a picture up. A lot of people, like fighters or just people I know, messages. I was going to stay in bed this morning. I seen you was out running. I better get my arse in gear. And I've gone and done a run. I'm all for it for motivation. That's what I love to do. Love to put stuff like that on just to get people motivated, get them moving. But, like, I have to remind myself sometimes to post a picture to promote the fight a little bit, because I think I'm over this stage now of, like, just wanting to post on there, wanting to constantly have, like, a social media presence. Do
you feel like you're, like, a lot of people are ego driven? I feel like we're all ego driven. Like, that's why you'd even buy a Rolex in the first place, even though if you don't post it on Instagram, you buy one.
Yeah, of course.
It's still ego.
Look, we all got ego. We all got ego, whether we want to make it or not.
Like,
like a watch, whether it costs £10 or £10,000, still only tells the time.
I know.
You know what I mean? Maybe an Apple Watch is a bit different, a couple of cool features on it, but same with a phone, realistically. Like, an iPhone 12 or whatever it is does the same as an iPhone 6.
They don't change.
They don't
very
change.
Much at all.
The battery's a bit better, and You know, you can do better camera and do this and that, but ultimately they do can phone text, and if you want to use it for social media, you can. But we all got ego, haven't we? It's just a matter of keeping your ego in check. That's the great thing about fighting for me and training. It's like, you know, you get too big for your boots, you'll soon get brought down a peg or two, especially in my gym. Like, you have Brett Johns stick you on the cage for 15 minutes and you can't move. You soon come down off your IO. So I have amateurs in the gym, like, taking me down, landing shots, and I think, well, so there's still work to do. You know, there's all well and good being the top dog in the gym, but who's there to sort of give you that reality check and give you that ego check? You know, what that can probably translate to work life and stuff like that for people. But speaking from my point of view, you gotta have those people around you that keep your coaches, your mentors, your family, that keep you. My missus is the best. She check my ego all the time.
Yeah,
I let the ego get out of control. She still bring me down a peg or two. And my mother, my mother's another one. She'll happily bring me back down to earth with great satisfaction, the pair of them. So you gotta have those people around you. If you don't, then you need to, like, I think personally, you need to start looking at your circle and thinking, right, what needs to be changed here, because I'm sort of running the ship, and I'm letting, you know, I think I'm the man, when in essence I'm not. So that's the beautiful thing with fighting. It's a good ego check.
Yeah, yes, men around you, like, isn't a good thing. Like, is it? You need to, like you say, you need people to put you in balance. Like,
there's no, you know, look at the best fighters or the best sports people in the world. They're not surrounded by yes men. They're surrounded by people who got their best interest at art, but they're not surrounded by people who are tagging along to tell them, oh yeah, you this, you that, because they want to be cool by association, or they want to, you know, make a bit of money off your name. The best people are always the ones who generally got your interest at art. That's why 99% of the time, the ones who you came up with tend to be the ones that, you know, are best for you in the long run, because they knew you, you know, before anyone else knew you before you was making money. You know, especially, like, speaking again from a fighting point of view, same old boring me, like, but speaking from a fighting point of view, you know, I still got the same coaches who wanted to put time into me when I'd had 2 amateur fights or 1 amateur fight. You know, there's plenty of coaches now that would probably have me in their gym, being a UFC fighter and, you know, being well known, being undefeated. They'd take me with open arms, but would they have took me with open arms as a 1-0 amateur? Or if they would took me, would they have given me the same time then as they give me now? Whereas my coaches have been invested in me right from the beginning, which is why my loyalties will always lie with them, because I know they're not doing it for their benefit, they're doing it for my benefit. Because if they were doing it for their benefit, they probably wouldn't have done it.
It's also like, yeah, you could walk into a gym which has had world champions or whatever. Is that formula going to work for you? Like
exactly. There's
how did they ever get their first one?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly. There's no such thing as the best coach in the world, I don't think. We always say it, there's only a best coach in the world for you personally. Like, coaching styles are different, fighting styles are different, training styles are different. People do everything differently. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for, or what works for me may not work for Brett, or what works for Brett may not work for someone like Scotty, or which may not work for Oban, which may not work for Tucker. Everyone is different, so you got to take little bits. Like, you got to have, the beauty of our gym is that the coach will, you know, my old man will coach me different to how he coaches Brett. He'll coach Brett different to how he coaches the other boys, and vice versa. Is you got, like, I find with these big gyms, like you said, with the 10, 15 world champions, you got the same set coaches. This is how they teach. They teach the same style for everyone. And it doesn't always work. That's why, you know, how many big gyms have got 10 world champions but have produced them from an amateur? There's not many. Like you said, they have the one which pulls more and more in. So it's all about surrounding the people who are loyal to you and like you said, who will keep your ego in check and who got your best interest at that. Not surrounding the people who, you know, are around you for their 10% gym fee, or around you for, you know, you're gonna elevate their profile. You know, that should come hand in hand. You know, by my coaches investing in me from such a young age. You know, me being who I am now, and Brett being who he is now, and the boys coming up, we've got this our gym profile elevates as I elevate, sort of thing. Whereas,
naturally, isn't it? You
know, they wouldn't do it. They weren't thinking of the gym profile elevating when I was an amateur or when I was just doing grappling comps, and that's why my loyalty will always lie with my team.
Yeah, I think that's great, mate. I think, like, just stick where you are as well, and also, coming from Wales and stuff, is obviously you always talking about the Welsh wrestling and stuff. I love it. It's like, do you know what I mean? I think that's great, like, to connect with people as well. And
well, it like, especially my last fight, it gives a bit of payback for the coaches. Like, you know, everyone goes on about how good the American wrestling are. I've trained in America for a month, but I never wrestled out in America as a youngster. I've never even trained pure wrestling. All my wrestling training has been like the last 5 years, pure MMA based with Carl and my old man. So to go out there then and sort of out wrestle an American wrestler who's won, no, what's it called? NCAA titles and state titles and college titles and high school titles. To go out there and win a fight pretty much, you know, by out wrestling him, pays dividends to them, shows what they're doing's working, and should hopefully show to the other boys as well. Look, we don't need to go away training. Let's have trust the process. That's how I'm a big believer in. Trust the process in everything, whether it's striking, grappling, even diet. You know, you gotta trust what your nutritionist is telling you to eat. You gotta trust it. You know, you can't just starve yourself like, oh, nah, I just want to eat. You trust the process and everything. And that's why I'm so happy with the last fight is that you know, it sort of showed that what we're doing in the gym is working, because that guy was a top level wrestler, you know, and went out there and outclassed him in the wrestling. And
mate, we're like an hour in, we haven't even talked about your fight.
I know.
Great fight as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a good fight. It was a good experience out in Vegas. Obviously it was a different vibe out. Don't know why, like out there, the no crowd felt different to the no crowd in Abu Dhabi for some reason. I think maybe in Abu Dhabi, because I was just so rearing to go and wanted to get in there and fight, I didn't take notice of the fact there was no crowd. Whereas in Vegas, I could feel it, there was no crowd in there, you know. Maybe it was because it was a tougher fight. It was a more longer, more grinding fight. You know, I could hear him breathing heavy. I could hear myself breathing. I could hear every punch, every slam. I could hear everything the corner was saying. My corner, I could hear everything his corner was saying. So it was a different experience. But it was enjoyable. It was, I think, experiences like that and those type of fights, especially with no crowd, if you can grill like that and have a bit of a grinding match with no crowd there to egg you on, then when you have got a crowd, it'll pay dividends in the future. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a good fight as well. You know, it was a good one to show the level I'm at, I think. Whereas a lot of people probably thought that he was a nightmare matchup for me. Probably thought, how was he going to take down an elite level wrestler? But we got him down. Yeah. You know, we got him down and got the job done. Mate,
it was a great fight. I can't, obviously, I don't know if it's, a lot of people probably said it, like the decision was obviously a bit ropey, wasn't it?
Well, honestly, like whenever you have a decision, whenever you go online, there's always like mixed opinions. But and on that, I haven't seen one opinion online or one tweet or one comment or one anything that thought that he won the fight. Every single person on my Twitter mentions, on my Instagram, on my Facebook, and on articles and on the night was like, how the fuck did they score him?
Mental.
2 of those 3 rounds. Like round 1, I won clearly. Round 2 was close. I thought I won round 2, but if you want to, like, you know, hometown judging and all that, if you want to sit on the fence, I could see how they give him round 2 maybe, because it was a bit 50-50 in areas. But again, round 3 then, apart from him being on top for 45 seconds, you know, in the last minute, I dominated for round 3 as well. So it's like, what's worrying is that they scored, the judge that scored it to him, give him round 2, give him round 1 as well. I was like, what part of round 1 did you give him?
The worrying thing is if you have a closer fight in the future.
Exactly, yeah. Well, what was even worse, the fight before me, the guy was in my changing room. He won all 3 rounds and he lost the decision. He came out, as he was walking out, I was walking in and he was crying his eyes out because I think he was like 1-3 in the UFC. So I can imagine he needed to win this fight to keep his job, sort of thing. And like, I watched like 2 rounds properly and glancing out of the 3rd round, and he won every round. And it was like the one judge scored it 3 rounds to 0 to the other guy, and it was like the first round he got dropped, took down. It's just baffling.
You can't take that back from someone, though, can you?
You can't.
You know what I mean? That's the sad thing.
You know, you've potentially cost him his job for one, because you know if your record in the UFC is 1-4, there's not many people they're gonna let stay. But not just that, you've halved his money, you've halved his paycheck, because the way we get paid, you get paid your money to show up and your money to win. You double your money by winning. That poor guy's lost half his money because you've judged the fight shit. You know,
and, you know, like in 5 fights time, say he does stay on in 5 fights time. Not going to look back and go, he's actually got a better record than that. You forget.
Yeah, you forget. Of course you do.
It's gone.
The judge. Don't me wrong. The sport is all opinion, so judging will always be up for debate. But there's instances where it's like, how can you get that one wrong? Do you know what I mean? We don't want this sport to turn into boxing, where we're getting corrupt decisions and the hometown fighter's winning because they're the hometown fighter. We don't. You know, we could do without that. We want to stay away from that. especially at the top level. I get it. It's not right, but I get it sometimes on the hometown shows and the local shows. You do get with the crowd, they favour the home fighter. But come on, in the UFC, how are we having decisions like it doesn't make any sense?
Especially with the no crowd, like, isn't it?
Well, yeah, there's no excuse. There's not even like the crowd, like if you're fighting an American in his hometown state, then he may land a punch on the gloves, the crowd go up in the air. You land a punch on his face, there's no noise. Sometimes that can sway a judge. But when there's no crowd, they've literally just got to watch what's in front of them. There's no outside factors. So I don't get it. But thankfully, it didn't come back to bite me, like it did the guy before me. Yeah. But, Vegas judges, they have some shit, but they deserve it, don't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it was... You just couldn't believe it. Like, it was all well and good, like you said, because you got the win, so it wasn't really... Like, there's no point, I suppose, making a fuss about it.
No, like, there's not, but... I hate the fact I got it's a split decision now on my record. Like, so if you haven't watched a fight, you're scrolling through my record, think, split decision, that must have been a close one. But it wasn't a close one. If it was a close fight, you get a split, you think, fair enough, yeah, I could have gone either way. But I felt like I dominated the fight, especially in the first and third. Even the second, I felt like I did more than enough to win. But like I said, if you want to be picky, I could see how they could have possibly given him the second. But come on,
I know, it's unreal, wasn't it?
It's insane, but. Like we said, thankfully we got out there with a win. That's the main.
Have you got like anyone in your sights? Are you waiting to hear from UFC?
Yeah, we're waiting to hear at the minute. They've came to us with obviously I can't say where or when, but they've come to us with a couple of potential dates. No opponents yet. Just waiting on my manager Graham to get in touch with them basically. Them to get in touch with Graham with some names. We're open for the summer. Late summer. So. There's no one specific. I mean, I'd love to have a ranked opponent. I'd love a top 15. I think personally, I probably need one more win before I get a shot at someone who's ranked. But I mean, I just want to be consistent this year. I want to fight another twice before the year's up, and I want to have a bit more consistency. The COVID obviously slowed down a bit of momentum. Yeah. Last year I had 2 cancelled fights, so I want to make sure I'm consistently fighting again. And look, every fight now for me is going to be a tough fight. When you're in the UFC, there's no easy fights. There's fights that's stylistically easier than others, but everyone in there is probably the top 2% of fighters in the world. So you've got to be elite level to get in there in the first place. So every fight's a tough one. So I'm not into just focusing on, I'd love to fight this guy, I'd love to fight that guy, because it could be anyone. There's that many top prospects in there at the minute. It could be anyone. So anyone that's going to propel me closer to getting a ranking and pushing myself up the ladder, then that's who I'm game for.
Yeah. Well, like you're saying, I expect the difference between someone who's like 13, ranked 13, and someone who's like, say, 20 or whatever. It's probably not that much difference.
No, that's what I mean. Especially in my division, there's probably 10, 15 guys who are not ranked. They should be ranked. But then on the flip side, the 15 guys that are ranked all deserve to be ranked as well. So it's a deep division. And like you said, the difference between like a guy who's ranked 10 and a guy who's ranked 25 is not a massive difference. There's not a difference skill-wise. There's guys like, you look at people like Marlon Vera, Chito Vera, then how good he is, he's not even ranked.
He's not ranked.
He's not ranked anymore, so it's like...
Who did he lose to? Because he beat O'Malley, didn't he?
Yeah, he lost to Aldo. Yeah. Do you know, he might be ranked. He might be like 15 or something like that, or 13. But there's guys, I'm just trying to people like Ricky Simone then. I think he's lost 1 fight in the UFC. He's like 6-1 in the UFC. He's not ranked, and it's like he potentially could beat any of the guys in the top 15. So it's a deep division. So that's why I don't try not to focus on one opponent specifically, because there's that many good boys out there. You get caught up training for a certain style, then they could hit you with someone else, and they're all mixed. There's good strikers, good wrestlers, good grapplers. So just anyone that's gonna push me further up the ladder. That's at the minute. It's just a matter of improving my own game, improving myself. And then obviously when we get a name, we can make it a little bit more specific then.
Awesome, mate. Look forward to seeing it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to give my supporters a busy year. After last year, it was a bit... I had 1 cancelled in March, 1 cancelled in November. So this year we want to get back active and get people talking about me again. Yeah.
So are you and Matthew going to keep doing your podcast? Is that?
Yeah, we are going to get him back going. Between Vegas and... obviously, everyone going back to work and stuff like that. We've been busy, and you got so much going on, Matthew. It's and I'm the same. We start to tie us both down at the same time. Obviously, he does the tidy but stuff as well as that. He's got a full-time job. He's got 2 kids. He's he likes to keep active himself. So we will get back on it doing bits, but it's it's nothing too serious. It's just one of them for us. We're just going to plod along with it. We are going to try and get a couple of guests in, but we're just finding our feet with the technology and that in a minute. It took us about 3 goals, I think, the first time to make sure it was recording. So
I know, it's a mission, isn't it?
So we'll get better as it goes, but we do need to do one. We haven't done one for about a month or 2 now, so we do need to get back on the horse of it.
Yeah, no, it's good, mate. I enjoyed it. I don't think I've listened to them both. I listened to the one, and it was really good. So I think definitely keep going with it.
Yeah, well, I know I'll to do a podcast a little bit from featuring on myself, and Matthew got the gift of the gab anyway. You could talk to anyone. So fingers crossed between us, we'll work it out. Yeah,
I went for a walk with him for an hour the one morning on his
challenge.
Fucking hell, it was he come hobbling towards me. I was like, I don't know how he's going to continue. But
the blister he had. Basically, I think he had this big blister on his foot, and he couldn't even get his shoe on. So he did the last day in Crocs, and he said he went in the shower. Now he said, right, I thought because he obviously plastered it up, stop it rubbing, and he said, I thought, right, just get in the shower now, wet it, just take the plaster off, redress it, and hopefully we can go get it tomorrow. And he said, as he peeled the plaster off, the skin just came off with the plaster, and he's looking at it, and he was like, I ain't going to be able to do it. He wouldn't have never made it round.
He probably would have got infected. I seen the picture of it.
It was pissing down with rain as well. Wet feet. He could have ended up seriously injured from it, I think. So, but I spoke to him yesterday, and obviously I speak to him most days, and he's already planning attempt 2 anyway.
I know, I spoke to him the other day as well. I don't think he'll live it down.
As soon as I seen he come a little bit short, I thought, I knew he'd have to do it again, and he will. And I guarantee you the second time he'll cruise through it. He just said he was a little bit underprepared. That's all. Didn't have stuff ready for in case of blisters. He said realistically he probably should have bought waterproof shoes in case of the rain. Didn't even check the weather. He said he just said, right, I'm going to start. He said I'm going to start it on Monday. He said look at the forecast on Sunday. It was just rain for 5 days straight. I said if we picked it when it was dry, you'll probably win a lot less with the blisters anyway. But he'll definitely do it, and God knows where else he'll do as well.
I think he's got to do it for his own sanity.
He will.
When he come walking towards me, he had one croc on, one trainer, and an umbrella. It was fucking hilarious.
He's another one really mentally tough, the Kilimanjaro challenge and the Everest challenge on the stage. I think I was 3 days straight of going up and down the stairs. Unreal. Not just physically, but mentally. It just shows if you put your mind to anything, you can do it. He's not proclaiming to be the most athletic person in the world. He's not the type. Like a David Goggins who's running a marathon every day. But I think he's just a perfect example of if you switch your mind on and get your mind in the right place, then your body's capable of a lot more than what you think it is. And David Goggins says it in his book. It's your body, your mind will quit long before your body quits.
Definitely.
If you can train your mind to just keep going or put yourself in a certain headspace, then you'll go a lot further than what you would think. There's people, sometimes I go for a run and I think after a run, my body's telling me, you can't do no more. You're 5K, you're knocking on the head. All of a sudden then you've done 10 or 12K and you think, well, considering I was going to stop at 5K, I managed to knock out another 5. So your mind is a lot, I say this to people, your mind's a lot stronger. Your body, is a lot stronger than you think. It's just the battle in your mind you've got to get over. Mate. If you can get over that, then you'll be fine. What do you do the other way? Just went and run a marathon out of the blue.
Yeah, I'm 16 stone, and I
never trained for a marathon, never done no marathon.
If you look
training.
at me I'm not a runner, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not a runner's build, but it's just you just got to just convince yourself you're not going to stop.
Yeah, you just got to, that's it. Once you get, and that's a good thing about me, but it's one of my worst traits as well. It's once I've got something in my head, I've got, I did a half marathon a couple of weeks ago and I was still aching from the fight. My foot was still sore from the fight. And I just told I was laying in bed one night and I was like, right, I'm going to do a half marathon in the morning. And I woke up, I was like, I don't really want to do this. And I thought, if I don't do it now, it's going to plague me for the rest of the week. And I just went and done it. No prep, no breakfast, nothing. Just chucked my trainers on and done it. And again, a lot of it was just my mind saying, well, don't stop. But I think my game plan for it was, if you run 10.5 kilometers in one direction, you've got to do it because you got to come back to get home. So that was how I sort of got through it. But yeah, definitely anyone in sport or anything, your mind, if you can conquer your mind, then you'll be surprised what you can do.
Yeah. Well, like with that marathon, that's the one good thing about Instagram. Was like Saturday night, I was like, fucking hell. I usually go for a run every Sunday morning, usually like half marathon with one of my mates. And I was like, fuck it. Put it on my story, like I'm going to run a marathon or whatever tomorrow. So then I was like,
you're accountable for it.
Yeah, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, fucking hell, I look like a right cunt if I don't go and do this. So I just went out, I run a half marathon with my mate, met up with a couple of others, did a few miles, and then did the last bit on my own. And like, I find like, I've done like 50 miles before. Like, I did that last year. I did
50-mile run.
Yeah. And like, I'm doing it in June as well. If you want to join for a few miles, like, you're more than welcome.
I won't be doing the 50. I can join you for a few, but I can't see me doing the full 50. Like.
Yeah, it's open to anyone who watches or whatever. If they want to hop on and do a few, like, go for Brecon on the canal to Goitra and back.
Yeah.
And after that day, like, because you literally, there's no two ways about it. Like, you're gonna hurt.
Yeah, of course.
Like, there's no getting away from it. Like, you're gonna be fucking cut to bits. And I don't know. Like, if you may find it with fighting, like, it adds like a layer to you. Like, everything after that for weeks, apart from the first 2 days, 'cause I can't walk, is like I'm a different person for it. Like,
I think it takes away that fear as well of the pain. You know, once you've experienced it once, like you said, although you was probably in bits for days after, like look at you now, you're planning to do it again, so it couldn't have hurt you that much because you're prepared. It's the same with fighting. It's like I remember being a kid watching, thinking, how don't them leg kicks hurt, you know, when they go and shin because you always kick with a shin pad, but then you watch them fight, they're smashing leg kicks in. So there's always that anticipation, and once you take one leg kick, it's like, well, it hurt, but you know, it didn't kill me, sort of thing. It's the same. I think it's the same with the fight. That's why we keep coming back for more, because the buzz of the win and the adrenaline of the fight outweighs the sort of suffering you go through after it. You know, it's the same with like a weight cut. A weight cut's fucking horrendous, yet I keep signing up for these fights, and it's like, it's because the pros of the fight and the buzz of like that experience outweighs the cons of a weight cut, because nothing will ever, the buzz you have from a fight, or maybe for you running 50 miles afterwards, because nothing will come close to that. You find yourself doing it again and again, despite how much it may hurt. But like you said, we're not made of glass. I try and say that to the kids in the gym, especially the youngsters. You know, some of them, they're a little bit, when they first start, they're afraid to take a knock, or they're afraid they're like tapping you, and like, boys, you're not made of glass. You'll be all right. Like, just as long as you don't let your arms break or let yourself go to sleep, you'll be surprised. And it's the same, like, chuck the 4-ounce gloves on. You get clipped with one, and you sort of gain confidence from that, because you think, well, I haven't been knocked out. Of course, you can get knocked out, but we're not made of glass. You know, we're not just going to shatter as soon as someone punches us. And to be honest, I think everyone should take a slap once in their life.
I can remember, like, in school, until you ever have your first fight, you're always shit scared of it. And then, like, you have a fight with someone in the corridor or whatever, then you're like, I don't give a fucking fight. Anyway, it doesn't hurt that much.
That's what I mean. I think it'd do everyone in this world good to have a good smack, because like you'd realise a lot about yourself, you know. And that's not me trying to sound macho. I'm not a street fighter, or you know, I've probably been involved in, I can count on one hand how many street fights I've had, and they've all been in either playing rugby as a kid or in school. And so I'm not trying to sound like the tough guy, but once you have a smack, whether it's in the gym or in a fight or in a street fight, like you said, you think, well, it's not that, but you know,
I'm still here,
and I think you'll give it hold people a lot more accountable. It's like, right, you know, I can do a lot more. I'm not there's people like afraid to leave their house and do stuff because they're like worried about but what if I bump into someone, and like people won't go out on a night out because they're scared of the trouble, or they won't come to the gym because they're scared of getting it. And it's like, you know, you'll be fine. Like, just, you will be fine. We're a lot tougher than we give ourselves credit for as you know, as a species. Like, look at a gorilla. Like, a gorilla is not afraid to collide into another gorilla, is he?
Nah.
It's in their instinct. It's in their mentality. They'd never even think twice. Whereas I think we can be sort of nursed a little bit as humans, and I think fighting and running 50 miles, something like that, sort of peels the layers back and takes us back to our sort of more of a primal state. And
you got to do it once.
From.
And I find as well, like, if I don't do it every year, I should do it probably 4 times a year, because after a couple of months it wears off and you start forgetting again. Like, you're like, and you draw off that when I'm out running like a half marathon and I'm like 10 miles in, I'm like, fuck, should I just call it a day here? I'm like, you've run 50 before, like, you know you can do it. You're just fucking convincing yourself you can't again.
it's like you said, and it's sort of, it's the, like when you do it, you never feel worse for doing it afterwards. Yeah, you might be in a little bit of pain, but every time I've ever had a fight, and I've been in a bit of pain afterwards, black eyes, so like, I don't ever regret having the fight. I'm always on top of the world. It's the same with like running a half marathon. All right, your leg's going to ache a little bit. You're going to be a bit stiff tomorrow, but you feel great after you've done it. Even something as basic as a 5K, you won't ever feel worse when you get home.
You can enjoy that.
Guarantee
pain.
If you don't do it in the long run, you'll feel worse about yourself than what you would if you do it. Like I've never ever done a training session and regretted it afterwards. I thought, I wish I didn't do that. Don't be wrong. There've been times before where I've like thought, I don't want to do it. Even during something, I think, I could do about this today, getting fucking thrown about and dumped on my back and grinding on the cage. But afterwards, you think, oh, well, I'm glad I done it now. It's done now. I feel all the more better for it.
I think like your levels of like tolerance as well. So say you don't do it because you're afraid of the pain. Well, like you're not only afraid of the pain of that, and then the next thing will creep in, and then you, like you say, you're afraid to leave the house, like because of might bump into someone, and unless you keep it like expanding your levels or trying to stay the same, like you're only gonna like regress into like a worse like paranoid, anxious version of yourself, aren't you?
Exactly. And, like, unfortunately, when it comes to that, like the less of it you do, like you said, the more the anxiety creeps in, the more the stress creeps in, the depression creeps in. If you can just keep yourself moving, and I think it's all about challenging yourself, whether that be physically or in work or round the house even, like challenge yourself to, I don't know, do a bedroom out or
100%,
or something like that. Just, I think not saying it's the key to happiness, but the key to sort of keeping our anxiety and stuff like that at bay, and just keeping yourself entertained is not so much being busy, but just keeping yourself challenged, always having different goals to meet.
Yeah.
That your goal hasn't got to be to be a world champion or to run in a marathon. It can be to, I don't know, if you're in the gym, maybe my goal could be to do a grappling comp. There's kids in the gym and men in the gym that have never ever thought to compete in, but all right, they could go to the comp and lose 2 matches, but I guarantee you they'll feel some sort of pride and some sort of a sense of achievement, because they'll think, well, I never would have wanted, I never would have gone in there to do, I never wanted to go and do that. I got friends that did it when we was youngsters, nervous, not the most athletic, chucked them in a comp, they didn't win a gold medal, but afterwards, you could see they're generally proud of themselves for jumping in there and having a go, and it's the same with everyone. I think if you can set yourself a little goal, when you achieve it, you get that sort of buzz. Then you want to set another goal, and then that's what leads to bigger and better things.
Yeah, it's that whole Jordan Peterson thing. I don't know if you've ever looked at anything he does.
No, I haven't.
He's about like just get up in the morning. I can't say I do this line. Make your bed, like do you know what I mean? Get up and make your bed, like you've already set yourself off. Number 1 is done. Like do you know what I mean? You're already on a positive spin for the day. Like, and it's like what you say about the running, isn't it? And it's a constant theme, like in people. Like I feel like successful people a lot of the time are getting up in the morning and getting things they need done. They're not waiting around all day for it to happen. Yeah. Like, and it's like Goggins, he says stay hard. It's such a simple message, and it sounds like he's in like an ape or like a fucking whatever in it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like
it is. It's like you said. It's sometimes we don't always need to be mollycoddled, do we? Sometimes we need someone like him or what's his name, Cameron Haynes, to be like, just get up and get on with it. Like, stay hard is the perfect version.
Yeah, like primal, isn't it? But
it's literally stay hard. Like, I love it when he's like that. Just, I almost let my inner bitch get all of me today, but I told that motherfucker get from. It's like to me that's brilliant. It's like, you got him. He's like probably the most mentally tough guy on the planet, and even he's saying today the demons crept in. I nearly let him take over. Then I just got rid of him. Like, how many people can relate to that? Like, where they think, I'm going to get up today now, I'm going to have a productive day, and what do? Just sit on the set the whole day. Let that sort of inner demon, or as he calls it, his inner bitch, creep in and take control. If we can just keep that at bay, where, like you said, whether we making your bed and cleaning the house, and then sitting down in the night, you've earned that time then to do what you want. I think just a simple message like that, like stay hard.
Small things, isn't it?
If everyone could follow that sort of message, and not like don't be wrong, running a marathon and fucking doing a 24-hour race like he does, but just a simple message of, right, I'm not gonna let the laziness creep in today. I'm just gonna keep it up bay. This is what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna do it. Once I've done that, I can do what I want to do, and I think we'd all be a lot better off.
Definitely, mate. Well, I think that's
That's a good note to end
place
it
to
on.
leave it, mate. A lot of positivity, and thanks again for coming in, mate.
No problem. Anytime. We'll have to do we'll have to do the live one we was talking about.
Definitely, mate. I have to try and sort it all out, get it all up and running.
Get the Wi-Fi up to scratch.
I know, you're gonna have to fucking sort it out for sure. But yeah, awesome. Thanks.
No problem.
Cheers, mate. Everyone knows where to find you.
Yes.
Jack Shaw on Instagram.
I'm easy to find. Jack Shaw MMA on pretty much everything. Jack Tank Shaw on YouTube as well. If you wanna jump on there and give me a subscribe, and we'll get some more stuff to you soon.
Get over there. Take it easy. Cheers, mate.
Experience Real Podcast.